Good. Thank you too. All right, we'll have a roll call.
All right. Michelle Jackson.
Yes.
Christine Johnson here, Jim LaFew,
Here.
and who's that? Bob Underhill
Here.
and David Foss.
Here. All right, we have our zoning administrator, John West, Margaret Spann, our deputy clerk. Jeff West is a building committee member and a road committee member. Dan Packers, our planning commission chair. Dave Halachukas is a Parks and Rec rep. And Mr. Sorensen. All right. Is there any disclosure of conflicts this evening?
I have none.
Disclosure of conflicts, anybody? No? Michelle?
No.
Nope. All right. Any corrections or additions to the agenda?
Need agenda, Bob? Oh, do you have this paper?
No, Bob. Did you need us to make you a copy?
Here. I have a notes written down.
Sorry, usually
Some of the things there.
That's all.
Oh, yeah.
you probably didn't see the email, but once I send out the packet, if you can't print it, you gotta let me know. All right? If you need me to make sure it's there for you, I can do that. Except for election time.
Anybody want make a motion to approve this agenda?
Are you referring to the November 21st regular meeting?
No, just the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Are you motioning?
No,
No? Any additions to the agenda?
yes, me. I wanna be entered into I have some things to discuss, so I had communicated that by email, but I wasn't added to it.
All right, where do you want to add that?
We can put it after 10 or 11. If not, I'll make a motion.
I'll tell you what, why don't we add you to number 12 there? That is,
For a trustee report?
yeah, pretty much where everyone's giving, is some type of a report that you want to give?
No,
No?
number 12 will be fine.
Okay.
Or would it be new business?
Or would it be business?
New business.
Not new business.
It's not new business.
What's the topic, so the public know whether to stay or not, sir?
Pardon?
What's the topic?
There's several topics. And I'll get into it when I get there.
Well, the public may want to stay to their agenda edition, if you knew what it was.
Well, there's several motions we're gonna make, and it's all about our budget. And the dire straits that we're in and tightening our belt and some cuts that need to be made, especially between now and the new fiscal year, April 1st.
All right, thank you, I just wanted to know the topic.
Yes.
I would say that would be new business then,
Okay,
because it's not an agenda item.
very good.
New business would be line 14, so we're gonna add Dave to line 14.
And I guess you could add me on line 14, I'd like to discuss our funding office.
Okay.
Oh, I have you on here for BSNA.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, under the treasurer.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
All right, we have an addition to the agenda. I'll make the motion, we approve it. Adding Dave to line 14.
Okay. All right.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
One more question, so the new agenda, is that also including the minutes from the November 21st meeting?
We'll be approving those in line 8.
Okay. Then I'll say aye.
Okay. All right, that brings us to some public comment. Be happy to, yes, sir.
Good evening, I'm Scott Sorensen. Well, I was here at the November meeting, so welcome to everybody. It's a great to have you here. I appreciate you working for the town. I sent an email about 3 weeks ago to all board members, and it was concerning the removal of the Rug Pond Dam. Mr. Peters graciously enough to respond. I appreciate that very much. It is a huge concern, I think, should be for the entire township. Personally, I have a concern because I live on the river, and with the removal of that dam, we have no idea what that will do. That's the big guessing game as far as I can tell. I've talked to a lot of people regarding this. One of the people I've talked to is Matthew Brenner. He's the Rug Pond Steering Committee Chair. I talked to another person and didn't remember her name, but she's with an organization that the Kalkaska County has hired to help with the whole removal, and they're doing an entire study on. I talked to the gentleman at Eagle as well. They're all gracious, offered a lot of information. But when I asked the question, what is it going to do to the water levels of the Rapid River, both above and below the pond, existing dam rapid, they couldn't answer directly. And that's a big concern, because quite frankly, the dam is well over 100 years old, as everybody knows. And the development, especially downstream from the rapid, from that dam, was all predicated on the dam and the water levels and everything that goes on with that. So with that dam being removed, I have a huge concern on what's going to happen. What's it going to do to the ecology? What's it going to do to water levels, both temporary and permanently? Is there going to be great oscillations, go up and down? Is the water going to be at my back door, or is the water going to be so I can't have my boat out there? Same with everybody else up and down the river. Is it going to hurt the wildlife that's there? The Eagle people seem to think it's going to be pretty good for any natural fish and hatchery, things like that. But I never had anybody direct me to a study that's been done that will take care of that and pointed to it's going to have a good outcome. So that's my concern. It's been talked about probably for the past 5 to 8 years. Couldn't quite get a handle on that. But right now they're on a 3-year program to get this done. So they're going out for grants to do the studies, to get the monies to remove the dam and trying to do it the right way. But I still would like to see some study of what's going to happen after the dam is gone. Because I don't want to have to move my house back 100 yards or not have access to that great water channel that I have now. And then what's it going to do for the entire township? I think the entire township would have concern with this as well. And so my request was, and with a few you suggested I might be able to, I would never be able to have or be able to attend those meetings on a regular basis. But I think it would be more of a response from the township to have an elected official at meetings that are happening there. And so that's my request, that you bring that up with yourselves to think about, could one of you represent the township and the people of the township at the process that this is going to go through for the dam removal?
And when are those meetings, the days and times?
There is nothing set in place right now. I think they're starting, we're like I said, it's a 3-year project. Even though they've been talking about it pre-COVID, they're really getting into it. The Kalkaska County has voted to remove the dam. But now they're starting this, okay, how are we going to do it? What's going to happen? What's it going to cost? And from what I was told, removal of the dam is far less expensive than fixing and maintaining the dam, which is why they want to remove it.
But then the ecological effects to
The ecological
people
effects
that
could
would-
be huge. I mean, the person, real nice guy, Matthew Brenner, he's the steering committee chair for the Rug Pond Dam.
Is he to preserve or to tear it down? Is he to preserve the dam or to oversee?
I think everybody wants it gone. The press that I've talked to, it's the best. And the state of Michigan is removing a lot of these dams all across the state. But as we all have driven by, going down state, go down 10, look what happened when that dam went away by itself. It was a sudden act. The entire area lost Sanford Lake, it's gone.
Mhm.
Everything's gone down there, and it's a great big mess. Now, this wouldn't be that catastrophic, of course, because it's gonna be controlled. But what's gonna happen when it's all done? What's that gonna look like? Will nothing change? They're telling me they think very little, nothing's gonna change. But what caught me was they think.
Yeah.
I don't think any study has been done from like, no one's told me or referenced a study.
You sent me more studies than I knew even existed. I was
And that-
amazed at.
That was shared with me by a number of these people.
Mhm.
There was PowerPoint presentations, there were studies done, there was all sorts of information. Not only for the Rapid River, but going up and down Torch River, all into Round Lake or Lakes Camog, and what would happen with this whole area.
And if the water levels, do they suggest they're gonna go down, remain the same, or they're gonna rise?
They don't know.
They don't know.
They think.
So
They
if
think
they,
it should be about the same, because right now, the dam isn't doing a lot, they're saying. The water's just flowing over the spillway, but I'd like a study and someone to stake your reputation on it, sign off on it, that it's gonna be the same, or it shouldn't vary any more than 4 to 6 inches, or something that would make us feel a whole lot more comfortable.
because if it were to go down, then waterfront properties would no longer be waterfront properties, and
That's right.
then those properties would have to
That's
be
right.
reassessed
And
for.
what's gonna help them with all the silt that
That's-
starts coming down.
Well, local farmer has offered to take the salt and put them on their fields.
Yeah, one of the studies that I read is gonna take the silt and they're gonna put it on the banks to try and reinforce the banks and keep that up there. But what about the silt 20 years from now?
Mhm.
What that flowing down, what that's gonna do, because it hasn't been that way for over 100 years.
Yeah, I think
And-
it's best to go on farmland for agriculture. It's actually really good for the land if people are using it to grow.
Yeah,
hay
and
crops
that's one
stuff.
of the things in the pond now, there's too much silt,
Mhm.
so pull that out. But after it's all gone and they've taken the dam out and everything, okay, what about the silt that keeps flowing down?
Mhm.
Where does that go? And what's gonna happen? None of us know, we weren't here 100 years ago. And
Right,
I don't think those kinds of studies were done 100 years ago.
right.
So we just, and we need. I hesitate to say this, but it's a big guessing game all.
Mhm.
There's a study, I don't think that the correct study's been done yet.
We gotta keep moving a little bit here.
That's,
102 years ago, April 22nd, the dam in Rapid City washed out. So just a little history there for you. All right, any other public comments? Yes.
Wonder if there's any historical records that could be gotten from the Kalkaska Museum maybe, of what the river was before they put the dam there, because that would kind of give us an idea of what it might end up being. My thought. So, just a thought.
Mhm.
and that's my request
Okay,
of the board.
we'll maybe get to discuss that today, but if not, we'll put it on a future agenda and see if we can get some. I'm gonna look into when those meetings are, at least find out, if they're quarterly right now or monthly or what they are, so
I'll try and find more information, I'll pass it on.
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? All right, well, then I guess we're up to our favorite township sheriff here, Deputy Bowling, right? Yep.
Evening, everybody. In the month of November, Sheriff's Office investigated 66 total incidents, 16 of which I investigated. On or about 11/4, I initiated a traffic stop on a vehicle for excessively exceeding posted speed limit on Valley Road. Throughout the investigation, found the driver had multiple felony warrants on Kalkaska, which they were arrested for. On or about 11/27, I observed a northbound vehicle on Rapid City Road to be driving what appeared to be carelessly. I'm trying to catch up to the vehicle. Citizen stopped me, claiming that the suspect vehicle had almost hit him head on. When I made contact with the suspect at the residence, they were later issued a careless driving citation. And then after the November township meeting for Clearwater, Kalkaska Sheriff's deputies had gone out, we had located TJ Barkovich and he was arrested. He's booked in our bail on multiple criminal charging, he's still in custody. Then in November, I'm not the 40-hour requirement.
Good. Anybody have anything for the deputy before we send him back out on the road?
I have a question. At the last meeting, when we talked about the guy that was on the loose, and I mentioned I talked to Sheriff Whiteford, well, possibly with the T-Mobile stuff that we have, if we could do like an Amber Alert. So next time something happens, and it's in our township or other townships that have that capability, that it could be announced on people's phones.
That was included in an email that I sent to sheriff, as well as a few other things that the supervisor and I had talked about. I've not gotten an email back. I can follow up on it.
In the monthly report, I noticed that there was 2 separate incidents of a dead body. So is that like just someone died of natural causes or something, or is that, something else?
That could be a multitude of things. I didn't specifically look at those. Anytime someone passes away in their home, whether it's natural causes, overdose, suicide, we always get told out to investigate that. But those specific ones, I'm thinking those were natural causes.
Okay. And PDA, what is?
That's,
I think I know what that's meant for, but.
Property interest.
Okay, there's other definitions for it.
So is that part of your contract, or does that, if something like that happens, a sheriff would be called out from Kalkaska and they would come to that? Regardless of whether it's the extra 40 hours that you put in?
My understanding is if I'm here, if there's a call in Clearwater Township that comes through our dispatch center, I get sent to it.
Okay,
So then if I'm not working, sheriff's deputy, who may be here or maybe in another township, he can get sent to it.
okay.
It's not 40 hours, it's 10 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Additional patrol time, if I'm correct, right? Yeah.
Oh, well, he had referred 40 hours, so is that 10 hours a week?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. All right, well, if anybody has anything else for him?
What's up?
All right,
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Merry Christmas,
you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Be safe.
All right, we have some minutes to approve here, November 21st. Everybody have a chance to look at those?
Yes.
Any corrections?
For the minutes for the 21st?
Yeah.
I have something to say about the meeting on the 21st. Okay, for the Spicer group, we approved the $1,500 for.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, that was passed 5-0. But at that time, I thought it included a well, a septic and drain field location.
Okay.
Found out it did not. And really, it's like putting the cart before the horse, having somebody do a site plan and they could say, hey, the playground goes here. And then the sanitarium for the septic and drain field later. Might pick that same area. All right, so I think we need to get the location straight on the septic and drain field before we start paying Spicer Group to do the evaluation or the site plan.
I thought his site plan was to locate where we're gonna put that. I mean, he's locating the bathrooms and that kind of thing.
Well, he's locating the bathrooms and whatnot, but it's not clear that he's also doing what the health department need to do. Or having that as part of the.
I think that would actually, that discussion would fall under Parks and Rec. So this is just to approve these minutes?
Well, part of the minutes is that we passed that. And so the question is this, When is the $1,500 due? Because it's my understanding Spice was already working on the project.
when
Okay,
it's done.
when it's done, okay, so, and when do we anticipate that being done?
Soon.
Well, like soon before April 1st?
You're referring to backing out of the money portion of it?
No, I'm referring to, Spice, the $1,500, they're working on it now.
Yeah, I
Is
would
it
think it'd be
possible that
well
we need to
before
pay that before April 1st?
It's a point of order.
There.
It's a point of order. The order is we are approving the minutes as they're written. If there's a change in the minutes, that's one thing. And discussion on the minutes is something different. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Well, on the agenda, we're on the item of approving the minutes.
This
That-
is a record of what we did in the meeting. That's
Yeah.
correct. That we did pass that, we had this discussion. And we did do this, okay? If we want to change it in some way, we wouldn't do it while we're approving the minutes, we would do it in our later discussion with. Parks and
Okay.
Rec.
With that being said, I'm good with that.
All right, thank you.
Keep in mind, I didn't get my education yet, everybody, and that's gonna be done in January.
We're all learning.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
for
in
sure.
time, we'll get this nailed. Meanwhile, I'm not gonna be afraid to ask questions.
No?
Yeah,
And,
Please
no, we
do.
want you to.
Okay.
That's why you're here.
Issues here, and there's a lot of things that I wanna, nail down and for the taxpayers and
Mhm.
make sure we're not overspending and incurring new debt and spending money recklessly. So, okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Mhm. Just a little side note, that's Parks and Rec's $1,500 that they spent there.
I see. Okay, good.
So with that, I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Michelle already did it, so,
All those in favor?
aye. And the November 30th minutes are much shorter. It's not a whole lot in that. So I will just go ahead and make the motion that we approve the November 30th minutes as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We do have some supervisor correspondence. Couple weeks ago. The clerk and I attended kind of an informational meeting at the hospital board that they held specifically for township representatives. And they kind of laid out the plan for the transferring to the 501c3 hospital entity from the current ones we have, the Article 47 of hospital authorities. And a lot of things happening quickly. They're trying to establish the 501c3 organization by June 1st, because there's a extensive audit that they have to participate in as a hospital. And if they can do that and kind of time it with the 501c3, they're going to save about $100,000, which is what it costs them to do this thing. So that's their target. They also have a contingency plan where they've asked for an extension of 90 days to file that audit report. So if we somehow don't make it by June 1st, there's a little buffer there that a little window where we have time to correct what we need to. But in the meantime, the townships, all the individual owners of the current owners of the hospital, there's 12 townships in the village of Kalkaska. And they're asking all the original incorporators of the hospital to supply several things. First of all, they want to know if we want to continue and be a member of the next 501c3 not-for-profit. If we want to be one of the incorporators in that as well, we can choose to just say no, and we won't have a voice in the hospital operations or any kind of authority. Will just be removed from, you know, the hospital
Hospital board.
management going forward. Yes. So our first question that we're going to have to decide is whether or not we want to be an incorporator into the new hospital systems. If we do choose to do so, in my opinion, that I think it would be a no-brainer that we should be doing that, you know. But if we do, we have some appointments to make. We have to have an individual that will represent the township as an incorporator. So someone that will sign the original document for the organization of the 501c3. Then we will have to, and we have Mr. Bradley on the, yep, Mr.
Yes.
Bradley's on there. He's our current hospital representative. And I've already talked to him, and he's willing and able to continue on as our member representative for the township. Then we get to the good part. During the conversion of the 501c3, there's a stipulation where the current hospital authority is required to refund to the townships, the organizer, the owners of the thing, the last 60 months of tax payments that we have given to the hospital. They had a 1.6 mil millage that has been going since 2017. So not counting this current tax period that we just all got our tax bills, the current amount is $1,075,000. What will happen is 2020's amount will drop off, which is lower than 2024's that we're paying right now. So it'll be a little higher than that. I'm estimating between 1.1 and 1.2 million dollars is how much they have to return to us. However, there's stipulations on how that money can be spent. It's kind of monitored, and it's for health-related services within the service area of the hospital. So if we were to accept that money, which we have to negotiate with them how we want to return it, like in the Article 41 language, we were told that there's no specific way of how they have to return it to us. Their thought is that they want to pay us 10% over 10 years. I think that's a little slow, since how they got this money in 5 years. So, you know, my opinion is that, you know, they're got a pretty big ask there. But I'm also told, and I just went to some MTA training today, and they told me that we cannot give that money away. But I will say that the existing hospital board is trying very hard for us to do that. You know, they say, well, this money was taxed for the hospital and it has to be spent on healthcare services. So why don't you just give it all back to us? That's their thing. Okay. Again, this is something that we as a board have to decide. What we exactly want to do with that money, or, you know, how we want to accept it. If we, you know, do it over 5 years or half down, or however we do it, it's something that we all have to decide on.
And does it have to be spent? Is there a requirement if we accept the money that it has to be spent?
Not that it has to be spent, but how it has to be spent, how it can be spent.
It's regulated. And I also learned today that we got to find the initial millage language And it should state in there exactly what that money can be used for.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
there's some language there that we have to look up, but I'll try not to drag this on too far here. It's a pretty complicated thing, but what they're asking for us to do right now, and this is crucial that because they need it for their organizational thing on the June 1st deadline,
July, it's July
or
1st.
July 1st, I'm sorry, June 30th. But anyway, so they've been kind enough to actually write out a resolution for us, and they're asking us to, number one, do we want to be an incorporator in the new 501c3 hospital? So this is something that we need to vote on and decide.
Do you want to read the resolution?
I can, sure. All right. I will skip the initial part there that more or less is fill in the blanks. It just says members present and absent type thing here, but the language of the resolution states, whereas Clearwater Township, the governmental unit, is currently a participating member of the Kalkaska County Hospital Authority, formed pursuant to Act 47, Public Acts of Michigan 1945, as amended, Act 47. Whereas the authority currently operates the Kalkaska Memorial Health Center, the hospital, including a skilled nursing facility, swing bed unit, and rural health clinic, and together with all related assets used in the operation and management thereof, the health facilities. Whereas pursuant to the requirements of Section 9, Act 47, the authority previously approved a resolution authorizing the transfer of all assets and liabilities associated with the assets of the health facilities to Michigan Nonprofit Corporation, specifically created for the future ownership and operation of the Health Facilities Corporation. I'll just pause here for a second. They decided to rename the hospital the same that the hospital is named now, so the hospital name will not change. Whereas following the authority's approval of the transfer was approved by a majority of the qualified electors of the authority during the general election held in Kalkaska County on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. You all saw it on the ballot. Whereas the governmental unit now desires to participate in the corporation as an initial incorporator and member, otherwise incorporating member, and to appoint a representative of the governmental unit to undertake such actions as are required of an incorporating member pursuant to the corporation's governing documents. And whereas the governmental unit desires to appoint a representative of the governmental unit on the initial board of trustees of the corporation. Now therefore be it resolved that the governmental unit approves the undertaking of all necessary actions required of the governmental unit to facilitate becoming an incorporating member. Okay, then it goes on about the appointment. The governmental unit hereby appoints someone to serve as its authorized representative to undertake such actions as required of an incorporating member pursuant to the corporation's governing documents. The governmental unit hereby appoints, again, we need to do that, put a name in there, to serve as its authorized representative on the initial board of trustees pursuant to the corporation's governing documents. Any and all previously taken by any and all actions previously taken by an authorized agent of the governmental unit in furtherance of the above and hereby ratified and approved. The resolution and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of the resolution are hereby repealed. In other words, they're going to take away our old authority if we choose to become a new incorporator. We will lose our initial authority.
Yeah.
I'll
Would be
ask the
replaced.
clerk here if I've missed anything or if I'm.
Oh, yeah, I think,
embellish.
there's actually two boards. So one is the, governmental unit, the Board of Incorporators.
Operators.
And then the other is the Board of Trustees. So Jim would be the Board of Incorporators, which would meet a few times a year, maybe.
Actually, it was once a year. I
Once a
think.
year.
Yep, and actually that's just
Initially
signing the
to-
document, is
And
basically
yeah,
it.
and initially to establish the Board of Trustees.
Mhm.
So that first meeting of the incorporators is to establish that second board.
Mhm.
So,
Which seems very complicated and wordy, but it's basically just saying, do we want to incorporate? If we do, appoint somebody that's going to sign the paper to do that. And then we appoint a member to be a trustee on the first board that they see. That's it.
do we want a seat at the table and a say in what happens, or do we not?
Yes.
And just out of curiosity, the last statement you meant, you said, what type of authority do we lose? Just whatever authority.
The
we have.
initial-
What is that authority?
Well, all the townships and the village of Kalkaska got together. I'm not sure what year it was, but they formed the Kalkaska Hospital Authority. So that existing group or that entity will cease to exist, and we will have a new Board of Incorporators.
So we're not
Same
really
people, yeah.
losing
And all,
As long as we do this, as long as,
we're
yeah,
part of it.
we'll still
Yeah.
have a voice in the 501c3 is how has it been explained to me.
And
Yeah.
I was curious, and I may be ignorant on this, but somebody had mentioned to me that if they have a bill with the hospital and they're a taxpayer, that they can be reimbursed those as well.
Yep, that will cease to
That will
exist
stop.
That
in the
will cease to
501c3.
exist
Yes.
with the 501, so
Mhm.
then that is going to then cost taxpayers more money to use their
well, what they
services.
actually said was hardly anybody uses that benefit. So not a whole lot of people know about it. Not a lot of people use it. Did you have a question?
Mr. West.
I have a quick question. One of the things that we passed years ago was a policy by the township, by supervisor and leader staff that said the board has to have this information week prior to the meeting. I can tell right now that there's some vague areas here possibly, and these people are not up to par. I wouldn't either in your shoes, no question about it.
Mhm.
But this issue is $1 million issue, literally, of all issues that should be at legal and
Mhm.
should be representing us here.
Mhm,
Could be the difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars for the taxpayers of Clearwater Township.
mhm.
I don't think anything should be passed tonight. If every one of these board members can't say, I've had this a week, I haven't had time, especially the two trustees. I've had time to dig into it, to research it, to do my fiduciary health of the township, to look out for the money. If they have any questions, this should not go further, in my opinion. There should be a lawyer right here that's representing us, that is in good faith and good standing with us. If somebody's offering you $1 million right now, and they want you to do this, I'm no rocket scientist, but I'd say, hey, will you give me $1.5 million? I mean, why not?
Well,
It's the money that we paid.
It's only
in
the
that
money that
get.
we've paid in.
Okay,
And our township is the number 2 entity of
And-
collecting money.
The money issue is separate from,
yeah.
The
But if- the
incorporators.
moment you relinquish your, any type of control with a vote, you're done.
Mhm.
They gave you the resolution. That alone would scare me in business, in the private sector.
Well, I will say this, okay, I have talked to our township lawyer when I was at another event at the courthouse. And he is unfamiliar with Article 47, which originally in 1933, they came up with this thing, or no, excuse me. In 1945, they came up with it, and there was 33 hospitals in the whole state under this Article 47 organization. We're the last one in the whole state. all the rest of them have already converted to 501c3s or closed or gone by the wayside.
What you said is very well put, because I'm not ready to, I need time to understand all this and research it, at best, the next meeting, if anything, but right now, I would, if I was asked to vote on this, I would say, no, I'm not ready, I need more research time. Thanks for saying that.
It'll have to be a special meeting then, because there is a deadline.
Well,
And if we don't pass this if we don't pass this resolution,
Well-
we lose our seat at the
Okay,
table.
how much time do we have?
What is the
It's February 5th.
February?
Okay.
Okay, well, we got
We
time.
have-
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, however, okay. Being that there is no longer any Article 47 hospitals in the state, there's one law firm that
Mhm.
still deals with it, and the hospital is using it. So we don't have an Article 47 trained individual lawyer. However, all of the townships, with the exception of one maybe, Cold Springs, have decided to get a lawyer to look into this. So, and Mike Cox is working on that right now, trying to get a lawyer to discuss what, number one, how can we spend this money?
Mhm.
And, you know, what our future looks like if we get into this. So we don't have to actually sign this tonight. It's not, it's by February 5th when it has to be done.
so that's something we can address at the regular, January board meeting?
I don't see why not.
Okay, because, Christina mentioned a special meeting and.
And then what
We will
is
have a budget meeting
all
as well.
other Hospitals, the Gaylord one, do they automatically eventually get sold to a bigger hospital like Munson?
Sure, that's two questions.
Absolutely.
Possibly, but if we don't have a voice
Yeah,
on
I
that
know.
board,
You won't have, you don't have.
We won't have a say.
I believe.
yeah.
I can prove that. You have no voice in the day-to-day operation of that hospital
Well,
in any
no,
way, shape
no,
or form.
no.
I can prove it.
I believe you.
Well, we do have a member
Yeah,
from our
Greg is a
township.
voter.
Yeah, so we're gonna, that member is staying now as a representative of the township, Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
As of right now, that is the, so here's another thing, all right, they want a, consistency, they want to maintain a little consistency in the board, and there's a requirement in the changeover language that a certain percentage of the original hospital board authority has to be part of the new hospital board. So what they've asked for is for continuity. You know, I don't know that Mr. Bradley has done a bad job. I've gone to 3 or 4 of these hospital meetings. He's attending them.
He submitted a
Engaged.
report to us.
If I may ask on that note, when was the township aware the hospital was going bye?
Well, it was on the ballot in the November election and
When
it
you
passed
look-
by 71% countywide.
Sure, but the reality is really our representative to the hospital, in my opinion, if you do some research back. Oh, nothing really to report, or this to report, or that report. This has been known,
2 years they've been working on it.
Yeah, they've been working on this for a couple of years. And not only that, they worked on it behind the scenes, and there is a massive lawsuit involved, right? With the hospital doing some certain things. And really, we don't have the information, what's that about? Are all the board members understanding that they're being sued, right? And nobody's seen that. Nobody really read that in this board, I believe, maybe 1, maybe 2.
Yeah.
But that, to me, why are they being sued? And what happens if we don't sign this? Oh, we just kicked out, done, see it? I don't believe that would be lawful. But they did manipulate the law 3 or 5 years ago. I can't remember the date. I don't look into this recently. It's been a couple of years. So that's an issue too. They changed the law prior to doing this action and taking this hospital potentially. Thank you.
The lawsuit revolves around some accusations that were made against a couple of the hospital board members about having illegal meetings. And those individuals don't believe they were having illegal meetings, and they also in the process discovered that there was a 3.5-year long recording made of the Board of Commissioners meeting room, which is completely illegal, and that,
Wiretap.
yes.
Okay.
Eavesdropping,
And the sheriffs knew this.
this is correct.
So you have and that fine is 600,000 for one offense. This is federal scenario here. This is a bigger issue, I believe. It's far bigger than me, far bigger than all of us in this room, I believe. And I don't think there's any way we should proceed unless we're benefiting our taxpayers that built that hospital brick by brick in the whole county, the best way we can. Man, I thank you guys for your patience putting up with this issue because it's massive, but you're involved in millions. And you say if we don't sign or we don't get a representative, we're just done.
Well, that's
what they said,
because of the vote.
because of the
election.
nonprofit.
So I
Board.
have one additional question,
Yes,
since
ma'am.
the two of you were at the meeting. So if we become incorporated with them and they are sued, are we also financially responsible?
No.
Okay.
Okay, well,
It's not that we become an incorporator, we become a member of the board of incorporators.
so anyway, you can see that we have some work to do on that.
I'm gonna make a
You know,
note
the
that,
ARPA funds now.
I will continue to keep investigating on this hospital thing, but we do have a decision to make by February, and if we don't, according to them, with that countywide vote, and including Clearwater Township was like 68% voted for it, I think it was. We won't have a seat at the table. So. You wanna, we'll read the hospital report when we get there.
And is the hospital going to have any additional meetings, or the meeting you attended was it? They
No,
provided the
this-
resolution and you had until February 5th to decide.
Yes, if we, and February 5th is the deadline to make the June 30 change to the 501c3. According to them. The vote is already there, that if we don't have another chance, like to not be part of the 501c3, we're gonna get a choice to join it, or we won't continue to have a voice at the hospital. That's how it's been explained to us. But again, we're I say we townships collectively are getting a lawyer to look into it. I can only tell you what I
they're
know,
looking
or
into
what I heard.
the finances, though they're not really looking into the resolution and becoming members of the board, right? I think
Yes.
that's what they're looking into.
Yes,
And what is our current voice at their table?
Greg Bradley.
Greg Bradley is our appointed hospital
And he
trustee
is
right
the
now.
seat at the table, and
Currently.
he speaks for the township for any issues that come up with the
At the
hospital.
moment, yes.
Until the changeover.
Mhm.
And then if we pass the resolution, then he will continue.
I mean, we can appoint anybody.
Yeah.
To be the representative. Just currently, that's the one, I've asked a couple of people, I asked Trevor Darnell, the doctor, chiropractor. Down at the Crystal Beach Road there. He's got 2 small children, doesn't want to do it, so. Anybody else that may be interested in, competing for that opportunity, let me know. And ultimately, like I said, it'll be the board that appoints that, it's not. One man rule here or something. Anyway, we also have some. Information to gather on how and when we can spend that money if we're. Lucky enough to get it. All right, well then let's move on to the ARPA fund status. I will just say this, our former township leader was given an opportunity for the last 2.5, almost 3 years to commit our ARPA funds to a specific project or declare it as what was it? What kind of revenue is that?
Lost revenue.
Lost revenue. And he failed to do that. So when I swore in 31 days ago or whatever it is, we had about 40 days to commit that ARPA fund money. It's $268,000, 794 and change. And quite honestly, I don't know if he was even able to log into the system or anything like that. I know in many meetings, myself personally asked him what was going on with that. I know other members of the community did too. Good thing is that we haven't lost them. I have found and have been able to log into the portal for the Treasury Department. And I've been working with Christine here. We have still have yet to commit that money. And we have until December 31st to do it. I don't think it's going to be a problem. They have several methods of let's just say several different ways of allowing us to commit those funds. One of them is to state that we have lost revenue because of the COVID crisis or whatever, and that is probably what we will do for the amount of money that we can't commit to a specific project. Some of the projects that we have already kind of committed this money to, because previous board has taken several swipes out of that fund and put it right in our general fund, and that money has been spent. Even though it's not committed and it's not fully been awarded to us yet, because it's not committed. So we, we're struggling, but we're gonna get that squared away. Believe me, I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I see ARPA, ARPA. It's like,
Looked up, it was a year ago, the 12th of December, 2023. People here didn't know, but we were in the process for 2.5 years, an agreement with a family, getting down to the end to purchase property adjoining Freedom Park. And it was approved by the board. They got right down to the end, and one member of the family said no, they want to develop it.
That's where those
So
funds were gonna
That
go.
was up to a year ago. I just looked, it was a 12th, 2023.
Mhm.
And so it was real disappointment. So there was plans for 150,000, but it didn't come.
And if you look on the current treasurer's report here, you'll see. It says there's like 95,000 or something left there.
For the November, judgment report?
Yes,
Yes,
you see what it says, there's 95?
Oh, no, that's not what it says, but
No, what does it say?
I don't.
it says 117, 197, but
Yeah.
that's
That would have been
That's not
balanced
current.
with the end of November.
yeah, that's the end of November. So we just moved 26,000 out of there. So
Mhm, mhm. So, like Dave has been kind of leaning towards there. Our budget or our spending habits over the last couple of years are catastrophic. And we are way overspent on our budgets. So that's why they've been moving that ARPA money into the general fund. And we are the ones tasked here to try to straighten that out. Um, I'll just back up a little minute. I mentioned that some of the funds have been spoken for on different projects. The way they have this fund set up is you can use it for different things, like for flooding areas, okay? We can use that money to do an engineering study to alleviate a flooding problem, or there's other kind of things.
Yeah.
Some of our bills like Centaurus, our IT specialist, that's another one that we can use that ARPA money for.
Mhm.
So some of the spending has kind of been justified, but it hasn't been committed at the Treasury Department yet. They
Yeah, it hasn't been obligated
obligated this.
on the portal.
Mhm.
It was obligated in the meetings by vote, but not,
Yes, was never entered into the actual
yeah.
place where it needs to be. But we're working. So we,
We have a resolution.
yeah, and again, these other people probably haven't seen that. This one that came from Lisa the other day.
Right, yeah. This resolution is to obligate those ARPA funds, which has to be done by December 31st. We have to officially, as a board, pass a resolution saying we are obligating those funds. This is to obligate them under the lost revenue, even though we've obligated them for the sheriff's contract, for the township hall gym floor restoration, for Centaurus, and for the Spectrum upgrades for the new cameras. All of that is going under just the governmental, I forget what they call it, governmental spending.
Mhm.
Services, governmental services, that's what it is. So, yeah.
I was just gonna say, the resolution that we're considering here is all of the money that is left in ARPA that hasn't been used or designated for a project. Okay, and I say that as in, we haven't. It's not really the right. These projects and the bills that we just mentioned, they've all been spent already.
Mhm.
So we can enter those into that portal that I was talking about at the Treasury, and that will reduce the 268,000 down to 100.
I should have, I didn't
or
bring that
whatever it
file.
is that's
Yeah.
left. So this resolution just designates what's left that hasn't already been spent.
Actually, this designates all of it.
Oh, that one designates all of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Because none of it has been on the portal, none of it has been obligated. So all of it has to be obligated.
mhm. Well, it was my understanding we were gonna enter the ones that have already been spent
Right,
into
and-
there.
and yes,
So there would
we
be a
will.
remaining amount that we would.
What Lisa said was if you do each individual one and for whatever reason, they come back and say, we're not gonna approve that one, then whatever they don't approve,
Mhm.
you have to give that money back.
Mhm.
So if you do it all under lost revenue, even though you have your obligations,
Mhm.
then all of that money is approved under that general.
Mhm.
And you said audit proof if we haven't actually lost, if we haven't had a revenue loss of that total amount?
Yeah, that's what they're saying to do. That's why, I mean, all of the training that we've been to through MTA, through the Department of Treasury, they all say this is the best way to go.
3 webinars on it, and
Yeah, I have the webinar.
the Treasury Department is actually telling us to actually file it that way. If we do file it this way, we still have until April.
We have to report it in April.
So if we report it all as lost revenue, we can still go into the portal and.
Say what we used it
Yeah,
for.
we can
Yeah.
say, okay, well, we don't all want this to be lost revenue anymore. We have these projects and we can,
They have to be under contract by December 31st, which they already are. They've been under contract. The contract's already been fulfilled
mm,
for all, except for the sheriff. Well, it's under contract, but it's not
Yes.
complete.
another thing that they allow this money to be used for is wages for employees. So because we have employees, they will allow us to use wages for this month. So we can say, okay, well, we have a office administrator and we have a maintenance department, those salaries all the way through December of 2026, we can, offset that total ARPA amount by that. So we're not claiming all of it as lost revenue, some would be wages.
So others that are
contracts.
allowed to use it for payroll and pension?
I believe that is one of the authorized uses was payroll, yes.
Payroll.
I don't know about the pension,
No,
I'm
there's-
assuming that
there's
would be
no
fine,
pension.
but. I've heard other municipalities using that money to pay for pensions, but I don't know how they're doing it. So there may be some
We don't have any
There's been some
pensions.
changes
some
in
changes, yeah.
that part of the
Yeah.
They
There-
couldn't pay for pension, so.
Yeah, there's a final rule that they came out with,
Hmm.
and in that final rule, you can look up all the authorized uses for that money.
But it would be more ideal to not have to do any of that.
Well, Yeah, this is just obligating it. This is saying, this is how that money was going to be spent on the portal. The money in the bank does not have to be used that way. It's what's left in the bank, I should say.
That there was no contract signed with some terrace. Now, you just mentioned.
There
earlier,
is
there
a-
could be a problem there.
There is that contract. In the minutes, I didn't find where that contract was actually voted on,
That's.
but we
where-
have the contract.
That's where I asked to rescind the vote and maybe I didn't get a second.
Yeah,
So maybe in all that to do, it was
Right.
forgotten.
What is the length of Centerra's contract? that we
3
signed?
years. I think.
And how long have we had them now?
One? I think just one.
Maybe a little more than one, but not much. Yeah. And they charge us a fortune.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do.
That's unfortunate.
So,
So in order to obligate those funds by the end of the year, we need to present this resolution. And the first whole page is all the regulations and laws regarding. I can read it if you want me to.
I think it's important to read it.
Okay. Resolution to obligate ARPA funds on lost revenue replacement category, whereas the American Rescue Plan Act, HR 1319, ARPA, was signed into law by President Biden in March of 2021. And whereas ARPA modifies provisions of Title VI of the Social Security Act, whereas 42 USC, whatever, appropriates 19,530,000,000 to non-entitlement units of government, NEUs, to mitigate the fiscal effects stemming from the public health emergency with respect to COVID-19. And whereas the appropriations under that same 42 USC 803 B2 are titled state and local fiscal recovery funds, state and local fiscal recovery funds. Whereas a non-entitlement unit of government is defined as a city, as that term is defined in section 102A5 of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, that is not a metropolitan city, defines a city as any unit of general local government which is classified as a municipality by the United States Bureau of the Census, which covers all townships in Michigan. And whereas Clearwater Township is a non-entitlement unit of government and has received its portion of the SLFRF, whereas it permits NEUs, non-entitlement units, to spend ARPA funds under one of four major categories, which include A, responses to the COVID-19 pandemic and its negative economic impacts, B, providing premium pay to essential employees, that's the payroll, C, for government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue, and D, investments in water, sewer, and broadband. Whereas 86 federal regulation, something 26801, May 17, 2021 indicates that any amount attributable under lost revenue replacement can be used towards government services, but cannot be used as debt service or to create or replenish savings, a rainy day fund. And whereas in January of 2022, the Department of Treasury released the completed interim final rule titled SLFRF Final Rule, another final rule, because, you know, they did the final rule a couple times, establishing the completed guidance for the SLFRF. And whereas page 240 of the final rule indicates that the Treasury allows lost revenue replacement to be calculated through a formula as provided by the Treasury or by a $10 million standard allowance. Whereas Clearwater Township will use some of funds as allotted to them by the standard allowance. And whereas the town seeks to pay for government services with funds out of lost revenue replacement, and whereas the provisions of government services is a permitted expenditure category by the United States Department of Treasury in its compliance and reporting guidance for state and local fiscal recovery funds. Now therefore be it resolved, aren't you so glad that I said that? That Clearwater Township will use ARPA funds to pay for the provision of government services in 2024 as part of lost revenue replacement in the amount of $268,711.84. The foregoing resolution offered by board member Christine Johnson. And asking for support.
So who wrote the resolution? Our attorneys reviewed that and wrote the resolution.
No, actually, this resolution was written by Lisa Leedy, who pulled all of the laws pertaining to it to put into the resolution.
What is her position with the township?
She is not in the township anymore. She is a township supervisor. And also works at other jobs too, but she's a township supervisor.
We actually reached out to
Several
many
people.
municipalities
Mhm.
asking. I have a backup on the 26th of December. Another township is actually going to come here and help us manage that portal and get the funds allocated or committed, excuse me.
Well, they have to be committed or they have to be
Yes.
given that.
That's
I
right,
mean,
and
then
we are
that's-
definitely gonna,
Right, that's
Commit
the
for-
reason for this resolution.
So now if we commit for all of those. And we're using it under lost revenue and we already have some that we've already spent, some overspent,
Mhm.
a lot of money to Centerra's. We can always go back and use those funds.
till
for-
April.
Till April.
Yeah, we have to,
They don't have to be spent until 2026,
That's
but they have to be
correct.
obligated and then reported in April.
so this obligates the funds.
Saying we're gonna spend them and we're gonna use the lost revenue.
Yes,
And we have to, or we have to give it
or
back.
we'll lose it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of that money is already spent,
And
like
some
you
of it's
know.
already spent,
Yep,
like $80,000 to
Yep.
Centerra's.
and I wanna emphasize that this is kind of what we've been handed, okay? We don't have the luxury of time and, you know, there's no backup plan. We have to either commit or we're gonna have to pay it back. But we have, what, 14 days or 13 days left?
Commit or we use it.
Yes,
And we've already spent how much? of it?
More than half of it, yeah.
And
You
those
say
items.
we-
There's
the-
the, well,
No, the
Yeah,
prior board,
yeah.
so that Sin Terrace is probably the biggest one, correct? And the other things that they were spent on.
the spectrum upgrades.
The spectrum
For
upgrades.
the new cameras and the new Wi-Fi for here and for the township hall and phone system.
I think they used part of them or wanted also to use part of them for the engineering studies for Zimmerman Road because of the flooding issues and that kind of thing. So that was another approved
Potential, but-
project. Yep.
There was no contract for that approved. It has to be under contract.
Well, it's already been done. So I'm sure there was a contract for that,
Oh, for the
for the
engineering.
engineering plan. for
Yes, there
Zimmerman.
would be.
Yep.
Engineering, wait,
Yep.
wasn't that,
Separate.
that was
that
ARPA
was-
funds through the
money
county?
Given to the county
County.
through the ARPA, and they gave it to us to pay for the Huron, pay part of it for Huron. for
Right.
Hoyles and Zimmerman, but that was separate from this ARPA.
Okay. That's correct. That's right.
Those
So
confusing
anyway,
things.
I will support Christine's motion to approve this, and with that, we should have some discussion to. You know,
And
make
then
it a
we'll need
board
a,
choice
we'll need
rather.
a roll call vote when,
Hmm.
if there's no more discussion or if there is more discussion.
Is anybody have anything to add to that or?
Well, I just don't like that, first of all, I don't have the information in my packet. That this is, right into the last minute, it's something that could have been done last month, or brought to our attention.
We
Can be-
discussed
can
it
be
in the
nice.
budget meeting.
Last month was one day into our thing that. There's many things I didn't have.
Okay, I'm not,
One day.
yeah, I'm just saying, we need to do things in a manner where we have time to research and know what we're doing and come to the next board meeting with questions.
Mhm.
And we have a better understanding on what we're doing or trying to pass instead of bringing it up the day of the meeting.
I agree completely.
Okay.
And normally,
I'm
normally
also-
that would be the case.
And my only question with Sin Terrace, so I don't have copies of like the expenses to them or anything of that nature. But it's my understanding we've spent about $80,000 to Sin
Only
Terrace.
I think only the contract part of that would be covered under.
And
And
then
the, and
whenever they-
the purchase of the equipment and the installation of the service.
And so, and then anything after that that they do for us.
That's
is
just our regular billing.
$150 an hour.
Yes.
It's expensive, and with that 3-year contract, there's no out for the township to look at more affordable services
Not yet.
in our area, so we're really stuck
Yeah.
with a huge bill. of
That's why
well
we try not
over
to use them for
80,000. So,
anything.
Right,
I
And
really do.
We've also discovered that some of the services that we get from Centaurus are also
Crossover.
duplicated from Spectrum, so we're paying. Some of the same services twice, but we're under contract to continue to do that for both of them, so. We should probably go. I'm sorry. Yeah. This is critical though, right here to,
yeah, because we don't have the money to get back.
No.
sure do not,
That would leave next year's budget in the hole again. So, is there further discussion or are we ready for a roll call vote?
I think that trustee already decided he would like to, see those breakdown in costs, or are you good to?
Well,
Yeah, I wanna see a breakdown of costs.
You know, I brought that whole file to the budget meeting for us to go over and we just never got there, so I did not bring it with me.
That was the revenue part we got through, but it was inaccurate, so we really. Need to, how about, when is our next?
we'll be
That's
setting a
on the,
date for
that's
that
on the
today.
agenda.
Okay. So maybe we can get the budget meeting before. This.
The end of the year.
Yeah, before the end, so we're talking next. The end of the year.
Well, we have a motion and we have a support, so I'm gonna go ahead and call the roll. And if you want to vote no, you can vote no, and then we'll revisit it.
Okay, hold on a second. before you do that, so. Of course, we don't want to do anything next week. If we're gonna have a special meeting for the end of the year, what about Monday the 30th?
I'm gonna be at the township on Monday, the 30th. Is it is?
And it's due by the 31st.
The 31st is it, yeah.
Okay, so if we get it on the third, I mean,
And that's, you know,
we can look at the 28th or the 31st.
I can certainly do the 28th if we want to have another budget meeting on the 28th and.
I will probably not be available, but
What
So
I
about-
mean, I don't have to, I don't have to be there.
Of that budget of what has been spent from that we're.
Oh, yeah, I could make sure you have a copy of the file.
Well, here's the thing, if we commit it all as lost revenue, we can
Yes,
still enter
right,
the
I
portal
understand
and
that.
change that later.
Otherwise, we have to give it all back. I understand that part of the puzzle, but. You know, we have to see
Mhm.
what we've already spent to get to the amount where
Yes,
we
ma'am.
are at now.
Yep.
I think is imperative. So moving forward, we're not making those same errors with taxpayer
I agree,
monies.
I agree completely.
So I mean, as long as we have that out,
Mhm.
I would be willing to agree to do that because I surely do not want to get the money back.
Mhm.
But I'm saying it with frustration because.
I'm right there with you.
Because
And
that's money that, I mean, anybody going into a contract to do those kind of services, I mean. You should have at least 3 bids coming in to do that and not just cherry pick someone that
They-
sticks at 80,000.
Town backers came up with Centaurus and they voted and Centaurus was it. There was no other option at the time when they did it. So,
But we can't fix what happened in the past. All we can do is move forward.
Is move forward. That's why I was curious if we can also move it on.
Yeah.
Please.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, if we can get those, I'm good with voting
mhm,
to go ahead and sign,
mhm,
you know, because I don't want to give money back
mhm.
to
Yeah,
the government.
I don't think any of us want to give the money back and. You know, we've kind of,
But we have to be really
Then-
transparent with where the money is going and where it was.
yep, I'm completely. 100% with you on that.
It's unfortunate where we are, but it is what it is, and talking more about it, we're gonna change it, so.
I agree.
I hate to be in a situation like this, but it is what it is.
Are we ready?
I believe so.
All right, Jim LeFew,
Yes.
Bob Underhill. Michelle Jackson. David Koss,
Yes.
Christine Johnson, yes. Ask you to sign that.
Okay.
And is this hospital report part of the resolution that they provided, or is this?
That's
something
actually
else?
Greg Bradley's report
Yeah.
from the last hospital board meeting.
He does have information in there about the,
Thank you.
and that will be resolution 10.
And I take no pleasure in being unprepared. I completely agree with you, Dave.
Oh, yeah, don't, hey, nothing personal.
Yeah, and again, we're all kind of ramping up, getting our, you know, getting our wings.
Oh, no, definitely.
So, and it just doesn't look good to be that unorganized and that unprofessional. I hate it, but at this point, we don't have a choice or we're gonna lose it. So I look forward to working with everybody, going through that group of what we're gonna commit that money for. We can correct it up until April 1st. So maybe at our budget meeting, get that handled. All right, We're up to the treasurer's report.
Board of Review.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
It's under, oh, you have an old one.
How can I have an old?
Well, we updated it. How did you not?
I printed what you sent me.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay, well.
Oh, I told you we needed to do Board of Review and then I added it on there. That's why.
When you say, board of review, I was gonna appoint,
Yeah,
Miss Fields if, she's willing to be we have a vacancy on the board of review. Tom Backers and his wife were both on there. Tom is required to be on there. Supervisor is the secretary of the board of review. So Carol Backers was also on the board of review and she did her last meeting this month. So we have a vacancy and I've reached out to Tina Fields and she's been gracious enough to, I believe, accept
yes.
that. So,
She did say yes.
okay.
Is
I'll
is
make-
everybody familiar with Tina?
No.
No.
She's the previous secretary of the planning commission. She's on Zoom actually right
Yes.
now. She was on the planning commission for 22 years, so she's pretty well informed and. So I guess I will make a motion that the board appoints Tina Fields as the board of review representative.
I will second that.
All those in
Uh,
favor?
Aye. Is that everybody?
Mhm.
Congratulations, Tina. She gave a thumbs up, just, I mean, I can see her, you guys can't.
Okay, we have some reduced hours for the holiday period. They've been posted on the door. December 24th through the 29th, the township office will be closed. January 1st through the 4th, the township office will be closed. And again, that's been posted on the doors.
24 through the 29.
Mhm.
Yes.
And first through the fourth.
All right, we'll move on to the treasury report then.
Okay, and so I don't have it available, but, we balanced with the bank. So this has the funds that are in our account. Christine and I were unable to balance with each other, but we both balanced with the bank, so it's not off balance. We just haven't sat down and gone back and forth with our QuickBooks. So it's balanced, but not with each other. But with the bank, we're all spot on.
You have those?
No, but thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or anything for Michelle?
Do I have any questions?
No, I was
about-
Oh, do we have any questions on your report?
I was just asking if anybody had any questions.
No questions here.
I think Michelle had mentioned that you had some motions to make, and I'm thinking that this is your time.
I'm not sure I gave, I gave Bobby my agenda.
Oh,
Am I?
BSNA is next on the agenda.
So, we did speak with a representative of BSNA, which is a funding software. They have a couple of options, and we had looked to use, ARPA funds for that. The second being the higher one, but the second one has the, payroll module. And my understanding was we really didn't need the payroll module, that we could still do it through, QuickBooks. But, she sent over
Why would you
videos-
switch everything and still do QuickBooks?
Well,
for-
I'm just stating we have that option. There's two bids.
Oh,
The
okay.
second one is higher because it includes payroll.
Oh, okay.
And we don't have to use that module, but it's a little bit more if we do.
Hmm.
So, these are the two costs for the SNA. It's a funding software for one, and we will all be able to learn it. They come in, they teach us how to use the software, the accounting software. I sat through the representation. It's by far better, than using QuickBooks now and sitting down and balancing with each other and entering stuff, having the margin of errors. I would like to see us use BSNA. The beauty of it is that they do break it out over a period of time, so it's not something that would come in and would be overnight.
Mhm.
So there would
About
be,
6 months.
yeah, 6 months as far as the training part of it, and realistically, because of the demand, you're probably looking at more like 12 to 14 months before everything would be, set in stone, so it would give everybody that, time to take that deep breath and like, hey, what do we want to break the SNA down for us to use? They have two separate proposals. These sent over both of the videos for
Yes, I
everybody to watch.
watched
It's a good program. We already utilize part of it now, and the part that we already have, they would also discount and prorate that part because we already use it for taxpayers to be able to go online and pay on BS.
Cemeteries also.
Yes, yes. So,
What I read, it was only, what was it, 6 or 8 days of training
no,
and
there was,
$1,000 a day. That's what I read.
no, there was quite a bit of training. And I'm not quite sure. So, there's in-person training and then there's online training. And there's also support after the installation of it, according to the representative that, we spoke in 2 separate times. Everybody was invited to it to be able to have the individual go over, the training part of it. Maybe referred to the videos, I'm sure you would be able to get a grasp of that.
I was kind of impressed with the way they were talking about how we can all pull up reports and that
Absolutely.
information we'll all be able to see and
Absolutely transparency.
I like that part of it
And
Wait,
it
it's
is,
open to everybody?
it's
for you.
for
Oh,
not to go.
like, oh, everybody can get in there?
Well,
Yay.
right now, so, title agencies, realtors, assessors, they don't use.
Well, they're using it for
the
taxes, not for
BSNA
financial,
for
so that's
taxes,
something
But it's
different.
a funding software,
Mhm.
and it's something new.
Mm.
Like, everybody will learn it, it won't happen overnight, so we would have time to absorb the change.
What I did just hear was that, for the new cloud service, it is a 6 to 7 month waiting period for onboarding new clients. And also that there are bugs that are still being worked out that they have not fixed yet.
So
So,
my understanding, and again, we sat in with the representative, and those were tough questions that we asked them. And they said they used to have BSNA net. And BSNA net was what everybody demanded and wanted,
Mhm.
and it's gone to the cloud. Then in the cloud, they had a lot of glitches. They've cleared up those glitches, and those glitches are, not the glitches, but the software in the cloud is superior to that of the net. So a lot of the things that you're referencing, I believe that they've worked out, and there is.
Oh, this is somebody that's getting ready
This is a
to join,
slow-
so.
This is a slow rollout.
Mhm.
Well, you have to listen, you have to speak to the representative to that. And not what somebody else's experience or.
No,
what
I mean,
their
they're
opinion is.
presenting the same proposal to their
Right.
board
So did
tonight.
you sit
So-
did you sit in on
I,
these
I checked it
meetings?
out, but I did not sit in on the meeting.
Okay, because she would have been able to answer any of those questions and
Well, I
concerns
mean,
that you had.
It's just what I heard, so.
Yes.
Just
So,
that-
so I propose that, that we go with BSNA.
So out of these two plans that you got, there's like a $9,000 difference. The first
Mhm.
one's 32.8, let's call it 33. And
Yes.
the other one's 41.9, so let's call it 42. So based on your research and you compare the plans, which one?
It's one with payroll and one without
One is-
payroll.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying which one, Michelle?
Well, I agree with Christine.
I'm the
if
one
we're
that
gonna
does
do it
payroll.
all, Then we should, utilize it all, but if Christine's not comfortable with doing, payroll with BSNA, a lot of other townships continue to use, Intuit to do their payroll.
One thing that I saw on the proposals there was the recurring costs. It's about $9,000 a year
Mhm.
after we purchase the software.
There is some support after the fact.
What are we
Probably cover
getting for that?
patches and things of that nature.
Mhm. I mean, that's kind of expensive.
I know, I'm looking at like, we just got done talking about the financial situation that the township's in and contracts being approved that were so big and unnecessary, and now, you're arguing, don't spend all that money, and then you come and bring me a bid for a lot of money.
Well, we
So-
spent $80,000 with Centerras
Mhm.
and, yeah, over that. We also
Isn't it
pay
crazy?
$150 an hour to them.
It was,
And-
it was 49,000 for the contract.
So with BSNA, this is something that people can already go online and use it. It is a funding software, the ease of use for it. I just people who have any other licensing, they pay annual fees for patches and everything on that licensing. I mean, I just think it's a no-brainer, but again, you have to sit in and you actually have to be present and you have to ask those tough questions to the representative. But when you don't show up and then. you
Well, I'm
ask-
just looking at the cost.
Then you
That's all I'm
ask
looking
me.
at, the cost.
Well, some costs are beneficial to a township and some costs are, spending money that we're now tied into a 3-year contract. With a service company that overlaps services that we already have.
And what
with
is the
Spectrum.
time period for BSNA? It's.
So we're looking at, it's a slow roll up.
Mhm.
So complete, I would say about 12 to 14 months.
12 to 14 months.
Months.
And then an annual fee of how much? $10,000 every year, perpetually, never ending. Just asking questions.
They list the payment schedule
Mhm.
on both of them, and they also list the fees. So again, everybody on the board was invited to it. And everybody could have tuned in and they could have asked those difficult questions. They could have asked what they are getting for those dollars. The individuals that did go in and join was able to ask those questions. And I, for one, was one of those individuals and believe it to be beneficial to our township. So again, I'm one vote. And I vote for it.
Is that
And
your motion?
that's my motion.
I second.
So you are making a motion. I'm sorry, can you word your motion so that I can write it down? Sorry. Which one are you motioning to approve? Or just,
Well, you suggested number 2 because it has the payroll software.
I'm asking you what your motion is.
So my motion would be 2 with the software.
Okay, motion by Michelle
for pay.
to approve. I'm writing your motion for you because you.
BSNA number 2. with
BSNA
payroll.
proposal number 2. With payroll and the amount. I'm sorry, I gave you my copy, so I can't.
$41,965.
$31,965.
Yes, and it also includes the schedule of payments. So it is not all paid at one time, it's paid over a period.
And what is the annual payment?
Annual fee is currently, so for upgrade modules, $6,695, new modules, $5,725.
So this is a new one?
This is the one for
That's the-
number 2.
The annual fees are the 66.95 and 57.25.
Those are on page 5 to 6 of the plan number 2.
Of plan number 2.
Yeah.
Now, plan number 1 is $66.95 and 38.
So it's a total of what?
66.95. And 57.25. So that's,
So those are both an annual fee that we have to pay?
yes.
Here you go.
Yeah, that.
All right, and how are we supposed to pay for this?
I would like it to come out. Whatever's remaining.
That's your motion.
That's my motion.
You know, ARPA only knows what we put in it, so we could literally put that in the ARPA fund total. So it technically would be out of the ARPA fund, but we're so backwards on so many other things, it's sketchy.
We're gonna adjust that.
So the motion is to approve BSNA proposal number 2 with payroll in the amount of $41,965 with an annual fee of $6,695 and $5,725. Is your annual fee being paid from ARPA? No, it can't. So
Well, that would be part of the initial payment, I think.
Yes.
so your annual fee will come out of the general
First-
fund.
First year would, yes. Well,
So that will have to be added to the budget.
I don't know if it has to come out of the general fund. We have other funds that pay for internet and
Yeah. We do. Money you
technology.
get from Spectrum.
Is it the PEG fund?
Yes, it is.
Which there's not enough in there right now, but
I have to know where that's, I mean, it's part of the motion, so.
The initial one, ARPA, and
Well-
after that, we can look at that.
as soon as we commit those funds to ARPA, we throw all the remaining that's left into the general fund. Isn't that what has been going on? They just take it from there and put it right in the ARPA.
Yes,
fund.
we have to.
I think this would pay right out of ARPA. I don't think it would go into the general fund at all.
Hey, with
Yep.
the budget meeting, motion on board. Come on.
Yeah, I guess we could do it right out of the ARPA. I mean, there's no need to transfer it into general fund first. If we're gonna pay for it out of ARPA funds, pay for it. right
No,
out of
I'm
ARPA.
talking about the annual fee. How are we paying the annual fee?
The initial would be an out of ARPA,
Then, okay,
and then the continue be not out of it.
Out of the PEG fund after that.
Can I just remind you,
Hmm.
you're gonna get 1 mil instead of 0.69 this next year in the budget.
Mhm.
It's a lot more money.
we've already started on our budget.
It's
So
not-
that's an
that
amendment to your motion, for your annual fee out of ARPA to initiate and then
Jim,
from PEG.
So,
Jim, this is Dee.
yes,
It would be nice to know how much we make in administrative fees for taxes, because that could probably more than cover the annual fee for the BSNA. I'm not so sure PEG should be used for that. PEG can be used for Centeras and stuff, but I'm thinking administrative fees that we bring in from collecting taxes is, I think it's around, I don't know, 30,000-40,000 a year. It might be more than that, actually. So I think we're covered with covering that fee.
I didn't think we had established those admin fees yet.
For
They automatically come in for
taxes,
taxes.
Administrative, it's not separated out, so it's not its own separate fund, so it doesn't get tracked.
But it does come in, so that's an income, a revenue, mind you, that we can use for the annual fee.
Is that
For the
included
annual
in
fee. That makes sense.
the revenue reported for taxes?
No, that would be separate. We collect our millage, but then we also collect admin fees for collecting taxes.
All right, so, oh, I don't have my agenda
So
anymore.
that-
What is the agenda item?
Admin fee from the taxes for the annual fee.
For the annual fee,
Yes,
future
sir.
annual fees.
Mhm. I don't know how you're gonna track that, but
Will it be
We're gonna track
SNA?
it.
you can, maybe you can
Yes,
figure,
We track admin fees coming in. We track them going out of tax like a fund, and we should be tracking them in as a deposit
well, yeah.
from the disbursement.
General, doesn't it go right into the general fund
What
though?
is the
Yep.
agenda? Yeah,
But it's separated on the deposit slip.
Okay, but
Um,
that means we're paying it out of the general fund if that's the case, because.
yeah. Well, you can't pay it out of the tax fund. But yeah,
not separated in,
That's what she is.
yeah, it's just general fund because there is no expense out of admin fees.
Mhm. Boy,
All right, roll call vote.
First, would you please, repeat back the motion?
Okay,
What you're gonna be putting in the minutes?
so the motion is for the second,
First, the report, and repeat back the motion.
What I have written.
mhm.
Well,
Motion by Michelle Jackson to approve the BSNA proposal number 2 with payroll in the amount of $41,965 with an annual fee of $6,695 and $5,725 to be paid from ARPA. The annual fee to initiate is out of ARPA, but then continuing on, well, I had PEG, but now you've changed it to taxes admin fee,
yes,
even though we can't track that.
Why can't we track that?
we can track.
you can track it. It can be tracked. It just has to be separated correctly on the accounts.
so, Michelle, are you good with the, what the clerk read back to you? Are you good with that?
Yes,
Okay, so we can go to vote now, right?
yes,
Okay, let's vote.
and I vote yes,
Can I do a roll call?
sure,
Michelle Jackson,
yes,
David Koss,
Yes.
Jim LeFew,
I'm gonna vote yes.
Christine Johnson, no, Bob Underhill.
Yes.
Okay.
I think somewhere in the future, that BSNA will be very, it's gonna be beneficial. I know it's painful to put out.
Nobody likes change, but sometimes.
You gotta get up to speed and this is doing it.
I know that I attend a lot of MTA functions and different settings, and
It's not so much the new program, it's the cost. I don't think it's right for the township board to put this township into this kind of expense. Right now, we're just in bad shape right now. We're in really bad shape right now.
It's also coming out of our. So we are allocating ARPA funds for them.
Yeah, we've got some common balance things to get to, we can move along here, to, you know.
All right, you have your expenses by vendor detail. On the last page of it, I broke down for you which funds incurred what expenses, so you see that the township general fund expenses for the month were $26,528.10. That is not including payroll. Fire equipment, $9,136.57. Fire department, $10,198.81. Parks, $1,377.69. ARPA for the sheriff's contract, $1,788.40. Don't forget that. We still have to continue that contract. And that payment out of ARPA. Roads, $2,824. And these are all broken out by vendor alphabetically. Pretty much all standard stuff. I don't have any checks for approval. And that is it for my portion. So if there are no questions, I would make a motion to approve the expenses for the bills to be paid.
Do you have a copy of those? Since we're all showing.
Over there. Yes, you can have mine. I'm done looking at it.
so. Last month, we were about 26,000 is.
I think so. Well, that was total for all. I didn't break it down.
Well, I don't see anything on here that we can't pay, so. Yes. We pay the bills, make a motion, we accept the.
Oh, I already made the motion. Are you seconding?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Right.
The other things that I had put under me, only because the clerk is the one who keeps all of the records and all of the documents, so I have all of the job descriptions and personnel policy. So I provided everybody with a copy of what we currently use and have on file and what has been given to all of the employees. And then you also have the copy of what the treasurer sent in as a suggested. Those will need to be compared to each other, and I would say we don't have time to do that tonight, so I would recommend that you take time and before the next meeting, maybe look at that and see what might need updated on what we have or changed. And then we'll maybe look at it and approve it next month.
Yeah, we got some work to do on job descriptions, no doubt.
As far as contracts, nobody's under contract, they're just employees. And job descriptions for people like planning commission, they don't have a job description from the township. They are governed
I'm just
by the
talking
law.
about-
They're employees of the township. Planning and board
Well,
of
the two
review
that I
and
sent.
elections.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
so
two
you
that-
just, okay.
The two that I.
That's why I asked her, do you mean just these or do you mean everybody? Because there's a
No.
lot of township employees.
Just
We have
the
about
two.
30 for different areas.
I'd say we need to read this variations of our job descriptions and be prepared, I'm not thinking probably at the budget meeting because, you know, we need to do the budget at the
Yeah.
budget meeting, but maybe at the next meeting, we can knock out one or two of the job descriptions if we can't get to them all.
Yeah.
So is that okay with everybody?
I'm good with that.
All right. Well then. Let's go on to committee reports. We have our office administrator online if she has anything she'd like to share. There was no written report or anything from office administration.
I will say, Angie might not say, but I will say that there has been a lot of tension in the office. A little bit of harassment, unfortunately. And, you know, I hear about it because I'm in the office. And I have said, okay, we're all just learning our procedures and our jobs and where things go and how we do things. And so, you know, trying to quell that and just keep everybody on an even keel. And
Who's the harassment from?
Who's the harassment from?
well, there was just an argument on the phone yesterday with the deputy treasurer about something that you had already said, I don't need that. And then the deputy treasurer is yelling at her saying she needs you to do that.
But that's
Yeah.
a conversation, that's one side.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, no,
think
I was
this is
sitting
the-
there.
I don't think. this
Yeah,
is-
no, then you heard that it was brought up by the office administrator. I did not bring it up. I did not initiate that discussion. I had talked to her about something previous on that.
So,
I have to speak on that, if I could. That's a lie. That's just a lie. We were talking, she brought it up.
No, I did not bring it up, Angie. I called
Okay,
about two other
let's not have this argument during the board meeting, please.
Well, it was brought up and
the
I'm being
issue
accused of
is
being
that-
hired.
You're both employees of the board. And neither of you have a say over each other.
And that's exactly what I told her. I said, it's not my decision. I'm not a board member. She brought it up and I said, we don't even need to talk about it. It's whoever your supervisor is, whatever the board decides. I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and it was actually harassment on her part towards me because I was speaking of something else when we spoke. So
Well, I've seen a lot of the emails and I've had the conversation with you myself too. So I do know that there's more than just what you're saying.
and Michelle has also been in on those text messages. I don't believe there's been emails about it. It was a request at one point and then it's been dropped. So
I don't mean to cut you off, and I'm not taking sides on this, but we need to move forward.
Mhm.
And we got a lot to get to.
And this is
financial.
probably not an appropriate place to bring that up.
yeah.
Move forward.
I was not bringing that up. I just said there was some tension in the office. And that we were trying to work it out and figure out each other's language and how that we move forward.
Okay, we're gonna have more discussion on this, obviously. But I agree, we need to move on right now. Maybe we should have a summit or something at some point and, you know, try to deal with it there, but. Fire department.
Fire chief said he couldn't be here tonight. He has a prior engagement, but he did provide you with his report. And doesn't look like there is anything requested, so
No,
just,
very short and sweet.
yep, short and sweet.
Okay, we'll accept the fire department, December report. We do have one other thing to, discuss from revolving around the fire department, and that is the transfer of funds from, stemming from the lawsuit that was paid out, last year. The payment for the lawsuit over, I guess it would be, it's not really lost wages. It was
Is
Kinda-
it settled?
a settlement,
Yeah.
yes, settlement.
Yeah.
The total amount, I believe, was $45,000, of which the township was responsible for 15 of it, if I'm correct, and what was done was that money was taken straight out of the general fund to pay that, and we need to decide if we want to designate that as a expense of the fire department, or if we're gonna live with it coming out of the general fund. My personal opinion is that this is a fire department expense, and I believe that we should make, we should transfer the funds from the operations of the fire department, I believe, back into that's where it originated from. I believe that's where it should be tasked from. Fire department, so I will make that motion,
The
correct?
township
I will second
shouldn't
that
take a
motion.
stance.
But before, so isn't. So 45,000 total, didn't some of that come from insurance?
Insurance, yes,
How much?
$30,000.
30. Okay, so that's why you had the 15,000 that the township had paid.
That's correct. Insurance also paid the legal portion of that.
Now, is that all paid up, or is there still a monthly payment?
I think there's one more payment left, is that right, Doug?
One.
Yeah.
Okay. So you made a motion, I seconded it.
And this basically is a housekeeping thing. This is money that's already, it's not new money. It's just moving money within our funds that we have.
I'm sorry, could you read that back? Find out how it's gonna be in the minutes.
Yeah, motion to reimburse the township $15,000 from the fire department for the West settlement. Jeff, was that lawsuit against the township or against the fire department?
Township is the fire department.
We own the fire.
Right, right.
I didn't have to break it down.
Do you know, I don't know if you would know this or not, did the insurance coverage come from the township or the fire department?
Insurance coverage comes from your insurance on the township, correct?
Right, the fire department and the township have separate insurance.
Correct.
So
Separate.
the
They have one
insurance,
policy, but they're separate lines on the policy.
yeah, they both pay. They both pay for their
I
policy.
know the insurance, what they paid out of, I'm assuming that the
Okay.
township. I don't know for a fact.
That was my only question. That's why I was unsure of whether or not we could legally do that, because I don't know if that lawsuit and insurance were from one or the other. Just-
Would that make a difference? If it's under the insurance and there's two different, to what we're trying to do.
Different policies.
Okay, so the 15 was paid out of the general fund.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna get that back from the fire department, put it back in the general fund.
Yes.
Where we need it desperately. Very
Yeah.
good.
Roll call vote on that. Jim LeFew,
Yes.
Bob Underhill, Christine Johnson. I'm just gonna say no, just because I don't know that it's right. David Koss.
Yeah.
And Michelle Jackson.
Yes.
Okay, keep moving along here. Maintenance. See, there's a brief report here. We have some lights out on the street here, and I think he's requesting lamp post repairs, is that in town?
But today Craig did some work, investigating to see if he could figure out how to, one of them, he's pretty sure it's just the light bulb that's out because the wreath is lit and the garland is lit, but the light is not. So he had his ladder out and he was up looking at it, trying to see if he could get it open and change the light bulb when Morrison, one of the employees, stopped and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Don't you know that that's pretty dangerous? If you break any part of that, we can't replace it. And that light pole is like $11,000, $16,000. You don't want to mess with that. You need a professional. So he is not going to touch that. Put all the screws back in and gently stepped away. So there is one with a light out, and then there are two that nothing's working. So the garland and the wreath and the light are out.
So-
However, these are decorative and not safety related. And if we're trying to save money, it's not a time to incur this expense.
And a year ago, they weren't on, a lot of them weren't on, and Morrison came finally.
They
and-
fixed them twice in the last year.
But, you know, hitting us and other.
I don't know how they keep breaking.
Weather.
Yeah.
We're hoping eventually to use the roadside funds to put the LED lights on. And Craig and I were talking in the spring, you know, nothing necessary right now. It's Christmas.
Right.
is the holiday.
Right, the light bulbs, I think they're like $50 a piece, and there's 26. Mhm.
Out of 27.
Mhm.
It'll look nice.
Just want to add a little bit, and then I read through the maintenance, I wanna head over the maintenance. So he's got some supervision,
Yes.
and I saw it was delegated to Bradley before.
Yeah.
And according to the job description, something like that should be in the school. According to the jobs.
For fixing the lights.
Yeah.
So you wanna be the supervisor for maintenance? You're offering to do that?
As a part-time paid position.
As a part-time paid position? To be like maintenance supervisor, we'd have to hire you for that, and we'd have to put out
Well,
bid. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought you meant like,
Well, we did in the past, we just
We have
appointed
a lot
Greg.
more to cover.
yeah,
Greg
but he didn't get paid to do it. That was part of his trustee job.
He agreed to that, though.
Yeah, well, actually, from what Greg said, unless it's an emergency or you need me to kick somebody in the butt, don't call me. And
That's another thing stated in that
yeah,
job description as it says to be on.
Is that what you said, Greg?
Yeah, oh, you're compensated to be on call.
Well,
There's a lot in that job description where, and Craig does a good job, but.
right. Well, we have two job descriptions. One is supervisor and one is just maintenance. So yeah, we had two separate maintenance people.
I think we should have a special meeting
Yeah.
where we're
Yeah.
discussing
I was just gonna
job
say,
descriptions.
Yes.
That's when we-
Yeah, let's put this off, but that's definitely.
I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, yeah.
It's needed,
That's right, you did.
because honestly, Craig was hired to be a maintenance guy and not really a maintenance supervisor, so. You know, he's getting the work done, but he's,
Oh, no, he's doing as
Yeah.
good a job as he can.
Yeah.
He's giving us all he's got.
yeah. But I think,
According to the job.
And yeah, in the job description, actually, I went and looked back and I couldn't find in minutes where it actually said that there was a vote that we moved supervision to Greg Bradley.
It's one of these.
Yeah, I wrote it on there because I remember us doing that, and maybe Greg can tell us when that was, but I looked and I couldn't find it in the minutes at all. And so the job description is under the direct supervision of the supervisor.
Yeah, the supervisor can appoint trustees to oversee employees.
Okay, so we're gonna move that to the next meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Job description meeting we're gonna have.
Okay, let's move to the next one.
I'll accept the maintenance report. I don't know if there's copies over there for everybody, but. Okay, planning commission. We have a master plan resolution to adopt. So. At our last meeting, we had
Dan.
the final touches put on the master plan, and it's been posted for quite a while on the website. And we need to approve it. Okay. First of all, let's get a little planning commission report from Dan there, and we'll.
Okay, you should have, in your packet, you should have a copy of our annual report. That should have been included in the packet, in Chris sent it a couple of weeks ago. I have a brief report on our past, our last meeting, but I didn't get it to Christine in time to be in your packets, but I believe you all got a copy of that as well. So you can read through that at your convenience, but the main thing, for tonight is the, approval of the master plan, by resolution of the board. We voted, by resolution at our December 2nd meeting, to approve it at the planning commission level and offer it to the board with the recommendation to adopt it. So that's where we are tonight. You'll have a resolution in front of you that needed a number on it. I don't think we had a number for that one yet.
We just did 10, so this will be 11.
Okay. And then on that same note, the resolution that the planning commission passed on December 2nd, we were a little unsure of what number to put on that. And I don't know that that's been resolved yet. Whether it would be a planning commission resolution number or a township resolution number in with the board.
Oh, that I don't know.
So as of now, that resolution doesn't have a number, so maybe we should number it like 24-01 PC to distinguish it from
Sure.
the
Yeah.
board's resolution.
So if I may, I'm not sure how the planning commission passes a resolution. I thought it was a township board that had ultimately, I'll go with your recommendation.
That's true, but by resolution, we have to approve it at the planning commission to recommend it to the board for adoption. So the planning commission approves it, read the MP, commission planning, like it's all in there. The planning commission approves it at their level and passes it to the board for adoption. But we still have to make the resolution at the planning commission.
Thank you. We've never.
To get that consensus.
We've never, that was.
Well, and that was the question that we had going back. I could not find a planning commission resolution in the past. For anything. So a resolution should have a number on it, so.
I thought they would
Yeah.
issue that resolution number.
Well, that was our question.
When they
That's still-
vote.
That's
That's what
still
we've
the
done.
question we had.
Thank you for all your work on that stuff.
But if we can, I think that would work okay, to distinguish that from the board's resolutions.
Now, is that the one that
PC.
Christopher already signed?
That would be this one that,
Yeah, this is the one that Chris signed.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
This is,
but we didn't, did he?
okay,
did
that
he-
is the same.
Did he get a,
I have a signature from him.
okay. Let me
All
see,
right.
Is that the one, planning commission? Yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
so
so you-
this is the one you want to be that number. Okay.
correct. If that works for you.
2401 BC.
That's the previous.
This is the
That's
one
what
from
you
the
did.
planning
Yes.
commission that we did the other one.
We're still.
So
using
in
number
front of
11.
you,
Oh, we are on this?
In front of
No,
you.
this is the one
the board.
Chris signed.
Number 11, yes.
That's what I have. his signature on this.
Yeah, but this is for us to sign here.
Right,
This is
right,
number
yeah.
11.
So that'll be 11.
Yep.
This one is.
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Sorry, I only had one copy of it.
So again, the master plan is on the website. It's quite an impressive document of a lot of good information in there. I encourage everyone to take a look at it. In the hopes of brevity, this is the resolution just basically saying that we're adopting it, so I'm not gonna read it if that's agreeable with everybody. I don't see a need to go through all that. So I'll make a motion that we approve the 2024 to 2029 master plan.
Resolution 11
Yes.
of 2024.
So this is the one I have here that's dated on the back, December 2nd.
No, that's the planning commission one approving it to send it to us.
Okay.
The one that we're signing has Christine and I's signature line.
Does it say the same thing, Dan? Does it say, are the resolutions the same?
There may be a little bit of difference,
Sorry, I think everybody got the one that you guys approved.
You should have had the one for the planning commission.
Yeah, I don't know how I got the wrong one.
Right.
I don't know.
No, they're not exactly the same,
No, they're-
because there's some reference to the
Alright.
board having the right to approve it.
I have the correct one that you presented us
So,
2 meetings ago.
yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. And we didn't do that?
No,
No, okay,
we couldn't because that wasn't approved by them.
okay, okay, sorry.
So I made the motion. I don't know if I heard a second.
I'll second that. Roll call vote. Jim LeFew?
Yeah.
David Koss? Michelle Jackson? Christine Johnson, yes. Bob Underhill?
Yes.
All right.
Eleven.
I just have one more question for you then, Christine.
Mhm.
I'll need a copy of those two resolutions, that the one you did tonight and the one you did last month, assuming you're right to approve it.
All right, yeah.
If I could get a copy of those, either email or hard copy, just for
Okay,
documents.
let me make a note that I need to send that to you.
All right, is that it from the planning commission then? All right, that puts us on the zoning report.
You should have my report there. A couple things to note for you though. One, I got a land use permit to have somebody take down the light building in that utility, which is a good thing. And another thing to note, that we had a noise ordinance violation citation written several months ago. It was contested, it was taken to court, and put cited to the township. It's pretty important to realize that because we are getting complaints. And I encourage people, if you have a legitimate complaint, please report it. Because it does go a long ways inside of the court side of things. Because it probably would have went very far if the complainant didn't follow through with what he said he would do. So it's important that the public is aware of that. And please make it known if you have issues with it.
One thing I'll just add to that is the person that made the complaint showed up in court and worked with us to, you know, make it happen.
It wouldn't have happened if he didn't show up. I guarantee you.
Yes, it would have been.
And I think you have a note on there about the January 14th meeting.
I know, I can let you address that, because you talked to the county supervisor about that.
Yeah, currently, there's 7 townships that have no zoning. We have our own zoning ordinances and that, and we enforce them and everything, but there's 7 townships that don't. And the county uses their zoning for those 7 townships. And they're having kind of a summit, more or less, on January 14th to get commitments from those 7 townships, because they're let's just say builders and people looking to build structures or whatever, they move a lot faster than our zoning can keep up with. They want like quick turnaround, you know, a driveway and, you know, then septic, and I mean, they want it all real fast like that. They're worried about these 7 individual townships forming their own zoning, kind of like we have. But anyway, the summit is a chance to either opt out. We could literally say, we don't want to do our own zoning anymore, and we could become part of the county zoning. What they want is commitments of, you know, what we want to do, or we're going to be not involved in the county zoning, or they want to know if we want to join them type thing. So just a general consensus here. My own feelings are that we would keep our own zoning and the control that we have. But they want us to respond, more or less. And so
January 14th.
January 14th is the meeting. It's open to the public.
And where's it at?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's at the Board of Commissioners room there, the conference room.
And you know, is it necessary for someone representing the township from the board?
Let me look here, let me just double check on where that location is.
While he's looking for that, I'll just tell you this too, that our township is pretty diverse. We're pretty unique on what we have here. It's something we need to seriously consider, because a lot of respects, I don't want the county telling our township what to do with planning.
I think we just, yeah, we all agree, we want to keep our own power going.
I want the public to be aware of that as well, something we seriously consider.
Oh, yeah, sure, that's a good point.
Yeah, it just says 7 p.m. Tuesday, 14th. I don't see the location actually.
Okay, so the question was, can we respond in writing and just send mail it to them, or do someone from the board need to be there?
I don't see how we couldn't respond in writing.
Okay.
I plan on doing that at the meeting. I'm sure there'll be some good.
Oh, that'd be great if you were there.
So, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know, all right. And so between now and the 14th, we'll have an handle on that or something by email. So,
I still plan on attending, so
Okay, yeah.
whether or not a representative from the board comes, I would still be there.
I would like to hear though from everybody that we're on board with remaining our own.
We don't need to let any other.
yeah,
We're a small community, we
Yeah.
don't need to let a big community.
Mhm.
Yeah, just try to get a permit.
Right.
yeah, I'm telling, I have a question. All right, so, the last 2 monthly reports, so my call log stopped at 50.
Yep.
Now, is there an issue with the phone system, where there's 50 calls and then someone else calls and gets transferred to that extension, and it says the mailbox is full?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer.
Okay,
My initial thought was that was there any old calls that would drop off?
okay, so
So I would,
somebody wouldn't get a say in that the mailbox is full.
Okay, so I was kind of asking Christine on this earlier today. So is there a way for you to check your messages, write things down and then clear it so that there's not 50 messages in that mailbox?
Yes,
Okay, is that something you could do?
I would have to look into that with the new phone system. And as some of you may or not be aware of, the prefix for my phone number is 947. So it doesn't even show a 231 number. And it had something to do with Spectrum.
Mine is too.
Yeah.
All of them are.
Does he have Ring Central like
Yeah.
the treasurer
Yeah.
did? Where it pops up on his computer? Because on there, he can address each one.
Okay, so-
I'm aware of it.
John, another question.
Yes, sir.
For the emails, roughly 67, so it's my understanding that someone calls and whether they leave a message or not, so whether your mailbox is full or not, there's an email sent to you for that phone call.
I don't get all of them.
You don't get all. Okay, so that's, I don't want to waste a bunch of time. on-
Only if they leave a message, right?
Right, yeah.
Only if they leave, okay, so if the mailbox is full, they can't, you won't get that email and they can't leave a message. So they'll have to either call back and find a different way to get to you or send something or send you an email.
I don't think it doesn't get through. I'm just telling you, I can't go to my call log and there's so many on there. I don't think that it doesn't go through. I can double check that, but I'm pretty sure that there's nothing if somebody called right now, it's gonna go through.
It's gonna go through to the mailbox?
To the
Or-
mailbox.
Okay, now, it's my understanding there's a way to set this up where it forwards to a phone of your choice, like a cell phone or something like that.
And there
Yeah.
may be.
Ring
Okay.
Central, you can, Ring Central.
Oh, okay, so- Is that something that,
I have a township phone as well that I give that number up to as well.
okay, so, but when they call Clearwater Township and they get the options to pick. If they pick the option for zoning administrator, and if the mailbox is full, and if you're not forwarding your calls to the township, I mean, you can
Has
set that,
anybody got where the mailbox has been full?
pardon me?
Has anybody received a message saying that the mailbox is full?
Well, I'm assuming, no, I don't know, but if the mailbox is full, it stops at 50.
I didn't say the mailbox full, that's where I can check only that many. But if anybody is aware that they called and it says the mailbox is full, then I'll address that.
Okay, so the issue is, and not to spend too much time on it right now, obviously I have to do, but there's gotta be a way to clear the calls or clear the messages, write down the time.
And
She's
there,
calling to see.
Oh, okay, just checking right now.
and there may be, Dave, I will look into that, I just don't, I have nobody that's told me that I called and I couldn't get through to you because it said the mailbox.
Well, that might be why they haven't told you. Okay, so the thing is this, we start with the community, we start to taxpayers, I mean, if they call the zoning administrator, it's all they can go through, they need to be able to leave a voicemail. Some people don't like, use an email or finding a different way, they just wanna
I
call.
think John clarified what he was just saying, is he can only check 50 of the messages.
It would be interesting to check the Ring Central. I didn't have to use the phone. It came up on my computer and it was a pain using the phone. That's why I'm asking if he has access to the Ring Central, where he can turn on his computer, Ring Central, and he can see them all. You not only see who called, if they left a message, it's text out. The message is actually text out.
Yeah,
Correct.
Ring
And-
Central does
And if
that.
he has that, that would be very, very helpful.
I hear what you're
Then it
saying.
would be documented too.
And let me see if there is a way that I can clear that, so every month I get a phone call. And nobody runs into that issue.
Okay.
Agreed.
She's checking, just to let you know, to see
Lovely
if she gets
music.
that. I know where I worked before I had Ring Central and my mailbox was always full, but I would get it on my computer.
That's my point, that I'm not aware of nobody.
But you
trying to
can
get-
set it to roll over to that township and you don't have to set it for if I don't.
It goes to
answer.
voicemail.
You can set it for, after 5 rings
So you're
transferred to
not
this.
missing.
That- that's-
Yeah.
It's just
I hear you.
It went to
it's really the
voicemail.
way it's worded. It's like, okay, my call log stuff.
Cause I'm gonna set mine to go.
So I have to get
Five,
also
that, yeah, that-
five or
I'm not
six.
getting anymore.
Okay, my misunderstanding.
I don't wanna do that.
Thank you.
But I'm not gonna. do
I
it.
get a lot of calls.
And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
let the public that it's doing from stuff. Like I said, go back. Look up. It's the email.
Okay, is that,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
okay.
Thanks, John.
Public safety